Your contact is 12 minutes late. You know this because you've been watching the clock above the bar without looking like you're watching the clock above the bar. The café is on the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Antoine, Paris, 7th arrondissement. Tuesday afternoon. Rain on the windows. The kind of gray light that makes everything inside feel slightly underwater. You have a coffee you stopped drinking 20 minutes ago. You have a newspaper you're not reading. You have a feeling that started as routine alertness 2 hours ago and has since become something with more weight. Kowalski is never late. In 4 years of working with Kowalski, 4 years of brush passes and dead drops and coded check-ins that operated with the precision of a mechanism because Kowalski was a mechanism, a man who treated punctuality as a security protocol, he has never been late. You don't reach for your phone. You don't leave. You order another coffee you won't drink and you watch the door. The café occupies the ground floor of a 19th century building. 4 tables occupied besides yours. A couple near the window. 2 men in business attire discussing something over documents. A woman alone with a laptop. None of them have been here longer than you. You noted their arrivals. The street outside is visible through the glass. Wet cobblestones. A man walking a dog. A woman with an umbrella turned inside out by the wind. Nothing that shouldn't be there. But Kowalski is not here. And the feeling has become something you recognize from 2 previous moments in your career. The feeling that the architecture around you has changed and you haven't been told. You arrived in Paris 4 days ago. Your cover is a trade consultant, a position with just enough substantive reality to survive casual inspection. Business cards. A company website maintained by a support team in Langley. A hotel reservation in your cover name at a 3-star property near the Marais. The operation you're running has been active for 11 months. You recruited Kowalski 14 months ago. A Polish national working inside a European financial network that the agency believed was being used to route funds to a sanctioned government program. Kowalski had access. Kowalski had motivation, a daughter in Warsaw with medical needs that his official salary didn't cover. You built the relationship carefully. Slowly. The way you were trained. You have risked your life for this operation. Kowalski has risked more. Your phone vibrates. Not Kowalski's channel. Langley. An encrypted message through the secondary app. You open it in a way that looks like you're checking email. 2 words. Return immediately. No operation code. No explanation. No authentication sequence that should accompany any directive at this level of a running operation. You read it again. You feel the second meaning land. Not return for a debrief. Return in the way that the agency uses the word when a situation has become something other than what it was briefed as. You close the app. You place the phone in your jacket pocket. You breathe slowly. You think. You've been in this position for 9 years. You know the protocols. You know the procedures. You know the difference between a recall and a termination notice and an extraction and the thing that has no clean name, the thing that happens when an operation generates a problem that the agency decides is more efficiently solved by removing the operator than addressing the problem. Disavowal. Not a word used in any document you've ever seen. A concept understood by everyone who works at your level. The asset gets burned. The operation gets closed. The officer gets cut loose in a country where the local services are now looking for someone matching your description, operating under a cover that is about to be compromised, without the institutional support that has been the architecture of your safety for 9 years. You don't know yet if that's what this is. You know the 2 words were wrong. Everything wrong in this work starts with something small that's wrong. You leave the café. You don't hurry. Hurrying is information. You fold the newspaper, leave coins for the coffee, put on your jacket with the deliberate pace of someone who has no reason to move quickly. You step onto the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Antoine. The rain has eased. You walk east toward the Place de la Bastille, thinking. The contact that sent the message has a name, Rains. Rains is your case officer. Has been for 3 years. He is a precise, careful man who follows protocol with a rigor that you've always trusted. The message you received is not how Rains operates. Not the right channel. Not the right authentication. Which means either Rains sent an emergency communication through the wrong channel because something is happening too fast for protocol, or someone else sent a message that looks like it's from Rains. Both of these possibilities are serious. Only one of them is survivable. You need to verify. Not through Langley directly. If the compromise is institutional, if it comes from inside the agency, then contacting Langley is handing yourself to the problem. You have one asset in Paris who exists outside your normal operational structure. A woman named Miriam. Miriam has worked parallel channels for 15 years. She is not under your command. She owes you a favor from an operation in Beirut 3 years ago that she has never acknowledged explicitly and that you have never pressed. You press it now. You stop at a tobacco. You buy cigarettes you don't smoke. You use the shop's landline to call a number that isn't in any agency directory. It rings 4 times. Yes, she says. I need a read, you say. My name. Right now. Whatever you can access. Silence. 12 seconds. Where are you? Paris. Another silence. Longer. Get off the street, she says. Not your hotel. Somewhere without cameras. I'll call you in 40 minutes. She hangs up. You put the receiver down. You walk out of the tobacco into the gray Paris afternoon. You start moving. The 40 minutes are the longest of your career. You spend them in the back of a bookshop on the Isle St. Louis. 3 floors, crowded shelves, the particular smell of old paper that is its own form of cover. You move through the shelves without looking at books. You look at the door. You look at the window. You think about Kowalski. If the operation has been burned, Kowalski is in danger. Not from the network he's been reporting on, from the exposure that comes when an operation collapses without a clean closure. Assets who get abandoned in collapsing operations have a specific and documented pattern of outcomes. You think about whether you can reach him. You think about whether reaching him would make his situation better or worse. You don't have enough information yet. You wait. Miriam calls on the number she told you to use. A phone you bought this morning at a Carrefour with cash, a habit so ingrained it's automatic. Your name is on a priority recall list, she says. Signed at the deputy director level. The listed reason is operational security compromise. You feel this land. Meaning what, specifically, you say? Meaning someone told Langley that you are the compromise. That the operation was burned from your end. The bookshop is quiet around you. An elderly man browsing nearby. A student at a table with headphones. And Kowalski? You say. The pause. Kowalski was picked up by the DST this morning, she says. French counterintelligence. Someone gave them his identity. You stand very still. The same someone who told Langley about me, you say. That would be my read, Miriam says. You understand the full shape of it now. Someone inside the operation, or above it, has inverted the architecture. Turned the compromise around. Made you the source of the problem that they created. Who ran the priority recall request? You say. Another pause. Longer. A man named Harker, she says. Deputy Chief of Station, Western Europe. You know the name. You've never worked with Harker directly. You know his reputation. Careful. Political. Someone who rose through the agency by being adjacent to successes and distant from failures. And now his name is on the document that ends your career and possibly your life. I need 2 things, you say. A clean way out of Paris. And whatever you have on Harker. Miriam is quiet for a moment. The first I can do, she says. The second will take time I'm not certain you have. Start with the first, you say. The exit route takes 3 hours to arrange. You spend that time moving through Paris the way you were trained to move through a city that is looking for you. Not hiding, which draws attention, but blending, which doesn't. You change your appearance with what you carry in your jacket. A hat. A different jacket purchased from a market stall. You move through neighborhoods with different densities of camera coverage. You think about Harker. You think about what he has that you don't. He has the institution. He has the structure and the authority and the classification level that controls what narrative reaches the people who make decisions. You have what you know. Not what you can prove. What you know. The operational record that exists in your memory because you were the one building it. The timing of communications. The specific intelligence reports that preceded the DST moving on Kowalski. The gap, the 72 hours, Between the moment Kowalski passed you a piece of information and the moment French counterintelligence appeared at his door. That gap has a shape. And the shape points somewhere specific. Miriam's contact meets you at a train station in the 14th arrondissement. A man who hands you a bag and a ticket and says nothing. The bag contains a passport, a phone, cash in 3 currencies, a folded paper with a handwritten address. You look at the ticket. Brussels. Departing in 40 minutes. From Brussels, you understand there are options. You move toward the platform. The station is crowded in the specific way that European train stations are crowded, functional, purposeful, hundreds of people moving with their own destinations and their own momentum. You move through them. On the platform, waiting, you feel the full weight of where you are. 9 years of service. Operations on 4 continents. Decisions made in dark rooms and difficult moments that you believed were made in the service of something real. And now a name on a recall list. An asset in custody. A case officer whose message used the wrong protocol. And a deputy chief of station who has converted your operation into a liability and you into the explanation. You don't feel anger. Anger is a luxury. You feel calculation. Because the thing Harker doesn't know, the thing no one at Langley knows, is that you kept records. Not in any system they control. Not in any location they can access. Personal records, maintained with the same operational discipline that you've brought to everything else. Encrypted. Stored outside agency infrastructure. Building since the 3rd year, when you began to understand that the institution protects itself first and its officers second. You have what you know. Now you need time and distance to make it usable. The train pulls in. You pick up the bag. You walk toward the door. Paris disappears behind the glass as the train moves. You look forward through the window. You are not finished. You are, in the precise sense of the word, disavowed. Which means you are also, for the first time in 9 years, entirely free to do what the institution never allowed. Tell the truth. The train accelerates. You watch the city fall away. You start thinking about what comes next.